Hi, I'm Bala, and here is my community contribution presentation for the EDAV course in Columbia University. The topic of this presentation is the scale x BD function in R, which is part of the bdscale package. So to begin, all the time series examples that we have discussed in our class so far had data for all the dates in a range. That is, there were no dates for which we did not have data. But this is not generally the case. What if the data is not present for all the non-business dates? For example, like in stock prices, the weekends will be non-trading days. So we will not have any data for those dates. So the problem arises when we try plotting the data, because then there will be some gaps in the plot. This will be clearer in a moment. So one solution to this problem is to remove all non-business days from the plot. Fortunately, there is an R function that helps us with this, which is the scale x BD function in the bdscale package, which I'm going to discuss today. The data that I used for this demonstration was the Apple stock price data, which I fetched using the tq-get function from the tidyquant package. I fetched the data for January 2017, and this is how the data looks. So notice that all the dates are sorted in ascending order, and here we have no data for 7th and 8th January, possibly because that was a weekend. Our goal here is to plot the adjusted price of the stock versus the date. Here is the first attempt of doing that using a line plus using geom line and geom point in the usual way. But notice that when we try this, we get gaps in the plot. For example, these two gaps over here, these correspond to both weekends as well as local holidays on which trading did not take place. But for example, this point and this point are still consecutive business days. So we don't want these large gaps because they're still consecutive. So now we can use the scale x BD function, and we can see here that the gaps over here have been removed in the new plot. In the code, let us focus on this line of code over here where the scale x BD function is used. The first argument is the business dates, which is just the date column in our data frame in our case. And the optional argument over here is the format of the labels. Here I've given my own custom format for the labels to give more clarity. Now, another thing that you can do is increase the number of tick marks for further clarity. This you can do through the max major breaks argument of the function. Here I've set it to 19, which is basically the number of tick marks on the x-axis over here. And I've also rotated the labels using some additional code in the usual way. So my analysis of this function is that, of course, it provides an easy way to visualize the data on the business days alone. But one slight disadvantage is that you cannot set the X label value when you use this function. For example, over here, you can see that I tried setting the X label to be date with a capital D, but the label over here is date with a small d. So that is just the name of the column. But nevertheless, it is a very useful function for time series analysis. These are the references I used. Thank you for your attention.